Thanks for checking out this horror debate series video. So really quick, if you don't know how it works, you watch this video, you finish it out, then you go to your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete's channel, watch his video of the same name, then you can come back to my channel, go to community tab, and vote for who you think had the best argument for the film that they chose for the most underrated horror film of 2023. Now, disclaimer on this one, I have not seen every horror film that's come out this year. There could be something else out there I haven't seen that I would pick instead. So I've seen a decent amount, and based off of that, I'm going to go with Beau is Afraid. The Ari Aster film Beau is Afraid. Now, I'm not saying it's underrated from the standpoint of, like actual ratings from like Rotten Tomatoes or the praise that it got from, something like Rue Morgue or Fangoria or whatever. I'm not arguing that. I'm arguing this from the standpoint of it's underrated from the fact that the film did not get a whole lot of attention from the horror community for the most part, especially after it came out. It felt like there was a little bit of hype for it leading up to it, and then some people talked about it slightly, and then it died pretty quickly. And I think one of the reasons that a lot of people weren't really talking about it much was because of the fact that it is like a 3-hour horror movie. So I get that is a lot of time to invest. I literally had so many times where I'm like, I really want to watch this. I love Ari Aster's stuff. But I was like, I just don't have the time to devote 3 hours right now. I literally had to wait till I was actually away on vacation for a few days and use some time during my vacation to watch that movie. So, I get that aspect of it, that maybe people just didn't see it. And maybe that's a big reason that it has been so underrated, because a lot of people are reticent to invest that amount of time. I think the other thing with it is just the fact that it's peak Ari Aster. He's very much into giving you some stuff that's more metaphorical than it is easy to explain, and some of that stuff ends up being kind of long and drawn out as well. But I'll kind of talk more about that as I go through my points. So let me tell you why I think this film deserves to be thought of so far as the most underrated horror film of 2023. Joaquin Phoenix's performance is unbelievable. Now, people have talked about this. They talked about it briefly. But I think we should be still talking about the fact that Joaquin Phoenix's performance in this movie is probably the best performance in a horror movie this year. And part of that, a lot of people say, well, yeah, but it's Joaquin Phoenix. I mean, he's always great. But that doesn't mean that we should lessen the impact of what he did. It's a phenomenal performance. My next point is it's extremely well shot. If you've seen any Ari Aster films, Hereditary or Midsommar, it looks great. Cinematography is wonderful. The directing is phenomenal. This film visually is outstanding. It looks amazing. The shot selections are great. The framing is wonderful. The camera movements are so engaging and interesting. It's excellent. It's a experience. They also do a really good job with set design and giving you a lot to look at when there are kind of lower energy things going on the screen. The film deals very poignantly in the fear ingrained in you at a young age and the guilt that plagues you for choosing yourself in life. One of the other big things that I think we need to be talking about with this film, and why I think it should be appreciated more, should be talked about more, and it is underrated, is the message, the metaphor at play here, or at least what I saw in it, which is this issue that we have societally of people having fear. It's literally called Beau is Afraid, because you're taught to have all this fear in life from a young age. You're taught that if you don't do this, then bad things are going to happen. If you don't do this, then this bad thing's going to happen. And you have to constantly be trying to do the right thing. And you're walking on eggshells, in essence, and trying to balance all the myriad things in your life. And then when you try to take time for yourself, or you feel bad about what you're going through, you're made to feel guilty that you're not doing more. And I think this is a very important thing for people to be getting out of this film right now. This is a real big thing that we're dealing with. A lot of people are experiencing burnout in their daily life, not just because of work, although that can be the main reason or a contributing factor for people. But there's just so much going on, and we're not that good at being kind to ourselves. And I think this movie kind of puts a lot of that on the screen. I literally look at the movie as a lot of the fears and anxieties of Ari Aster himself put on screen. So it's a very personal film. So I really feel like it's a little bit of like, while you're watching the film, just getting inside of Ari Aster's head and walking around and seeing what his fears are, what's driving him, what's stressing him out personally. And if anyone ever wants to, feel close to a filmmaker, I think this film does a really good job at that. I mean, Midsommar also does, because that was literally about the stages of going through a bad relationship and a breakup and then catharsis afterwards, which is something that Ari Aster personally brought to that script because it's something he went through. So, yeah. The next point is dread and fear are expertly captured on screen via performances, camera work, and the score. The technical elements of this film all come together in such a beautiful way that every single scene you're in is hitting what it's supposed to be doing for you. It is known, I have read about this, that Ari Aster is very meticulous with how he does film. I'm not saying that that is the only way to produce amazing films, because there are people like Takashi Miike who has amazing films, who has literally said on any given day, I'm going to direct this film differently, it's going to come out differently, it's going to look differently. Then you have Ari Aster, or also someone, also in Asian cinema like Chan-wook Park, who is super meticulous. They want to write their own script, they want to tell their own story, they want that vision on the screen the exact way that they visualized it. And you get so much more from that. But the dread and the fear, and that is the point of it. Like I was talking about, the kind of like metaphor at play in the film, the whole point is the dread and the fear, and you feel that. They do such a good job through the acting, through the camera work, and through the score, of you literally feeling fear, of you literally feeling stress and tension as the film goes on, when you need to. There are obviously moments where you're not really feeling that, but it's a ride. It is a definite ride. My next point is you truly never know where the film is going, and it keeps you engaged. Yes, I've already talked about the fact this is a 3-hour movie, and I'll be honest, it probably should not be a 3-hour movie. I think in the no spoiler review I put out, I did say that I think a good deal could have been cut out of it, and probably should have been, just for the benefit of being more enticing to get people to watch it, because it's not as big of a time commitment. But it keeps it engaging. It really does. Yes, there are some lulls here and there, but there's no extremely large chunk of the film that just drags. And that's a big accomplishment for it being a 3-hour film. I mean, it's much, much harder to do that than it is for like an hour-and-a-half film. He literally took your typical horror film length and doubled it, and still made it very engaging, still made it a really good and interesting story. Yes, there's a lot of interesting and weird imagery that some people may just be like, I don't get it. So it's not necessarily going to be a film that's for everyone for that reason, because I know that's not everyone's forte when it comes to horror films. I know there are a lot of people who are like, I don't want like this weird imagery, I can't tell what the filmmaker's trying to get at. I kind of like the puzzle aspect of it, in a way of trying to figure out what the filmmaker is trying to say, or how it might be personal to them. So that's just me. And then the last thing I had on here is, even though it's 3 hours long, it doesn't feel too terribly long. Yeah, I kind of already talked about that. Like I said, it's a pretty big feat. And this is an outstanding film. Literally, even if you don't vote for me against your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete, saying that you think that my arguments were the best for why Beau's Afraid is the most underrated horror film of 2023, at least check the film out. I mean, you got to set aside 3 hours, but please just check that one out for me, please. But regardless, thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete's video. We really do appreciate it. Please do us the favor of subscribing to both our channels. It really does mean a lot for us people who are putting free content out there very consistently. Also, hit the thumbs up on both of our videos. We appreciate that. It helps us gain more traction on YouTube if you want to help us out a little bit. And you can also hit the notification bell button for both our channels, and then that way you'll know when we're putting up new videos. I'm doing at least 3 a week, and I know he's doing 2 a week. And during October when I'm recording this, he's doing a little bit more, so I don't know. Maybe he'll be doing more in the future. But regardless, we really do appreciate everyone involved with this. We love the comments. Oh, and that's another thing, comment. And I've said this before, you can leave the same comment on my video as you do on his video. Do it on one and then just copy it over. That's fine. We're totally cool with that. But we love people's engagement with this. And I would love to hear, what are other people's most underrated horror films of 2023? Because maybe you can throw out a film that I haven't watched yet, and that would bump it up my list. Just saying. But anyway, thanks everyone for checking this out. And until next time, keep it brutal.